Hi, let's get right into the new Tron project here. Let's see the finished execution, okay? What I wanted you to see this is that we are using motion paths on here with an alignment to a motion path, and we're actually taking an Illustrator object and aligning it to a motion path and then having the time be consistent as it flows all the way through the motion path. See the colors? You get to choose your own color arrangement. Take my techniques, or take the techniques that Sean Sheehan came up with here. Thank you, Sean Sheehan. And let's go ahead and complete the assignment. I'll use my color choices. You can use yours. All right. The PDF file says to create a new comp, make it 1280 by 720 or HDTV 720 with 29.97 or 30 frames a second and 10 seconds long as a duration, and name it your first name Light Bike. Okay, so I'm probably not going to come back to this very often because you have it in front of you as you're working, but I've already got everything in here that it asks you to actually bring in, and I've already got my Light Bike comp already made. Ignore this completed comps because this actually has a finished version in there. You won't have a completed comps one, but this has the 3 audio files that you can bring in. To bring in a file, for instance, to bring in the Light Bike or the Light Cycle, make sure you remember to go into the project folder, click on the stills, single click, don't double click. See how little the Light Bike is on a big Illustrator page? Make sure you're importing the composition, retaining the layer sizes. Now when that clicks in, you're going to get a composition that came with it. You don't really want that composition. So let's just take the composition and throw it away. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Now I don't need the Light Cycle layers since I already have them. So I'm going to go like that and delete it. Now let's get right into this, okay? The very first thing it wants you to do is hit Command Y and make a new solid called ramp. Now this is going to, what a ramp is After Effects way, doesn't matter what the color is, I'll make it any weird color I want, just so you see, and make it comp size. After Effects calls a graduated background a ramp. All right, so you go from one color to another color. But let's go over here to the effects and presets and just type in ramp, or go to effect, generate ramp, and you can go get it. So let's take the ramp and put it right onto the ramp background. Now it comes in defaulted to black and white. Let me show you what it wants you to do in the handout. I am going to go to the handout for a split second here. Down here in the handout, it wants you to go in and take these colors and make them a radial ramp, then take the top color, put it in the center, take the bottom color and put it down lower, and I'll show you what that's going to do to be able to control your ramp. I'm going to choose a blue ramp, so I'm going to take the black that's here, do a nice vibrant blue right up like that, real bright vibrant blue. I'm going to take the white and I'm going to make it blue black, not red black, but blue black, and I'm going to go like this. Now I'm going to make it a radial ramp. Now, we don't want the center of this here, so you can have a choice. You can either move this little item and hold the shift key and move it down to the center here, okay? Or you could have grabbed this little center marquee, this centering device, and actually pivot it in the center. Look at how I could put it there, or I could re-grab it again and put it there. Now it wants you to take this bottom one and it wants you to actually move it down. The farther you move this down, the more you move the black towards the edge. Since it's your file and you get to do what you want, go ahead and just take that and move it as far down as you want to have less black or more black on the edge. I'll leave mine just like that and we'll continue on with the project. Okay. Okay, let's now fit up to 100% so I can see this nicely on screen. Command S to save the file. The very next thing it wants you to do, this is my paper shuffling to go to the next page, is to create, go to the home key. Oops, I'm glad I made a mistake here. Look at my timeline. I didn't go to the home key. It doesn't matter. I want you to show you a trick again. Hit the home key, and with that layer selected, okay, just simply hit the left bracket and it'll snap right in. Let's go to Command Y and let's make a new solid. Again, we don't care what the color is because grid is going to override this. The grid effect is going to override this. So let's type in grid over here, and then we'll get an effect generate grid, and that'll be down on the way down here. There it is, effect generate grid, and let's drop the grid into here. Now we have a pretty neat looking grid. Sometimes the grid can look funny if you have it on half resolution or a third resolution, so for now just leave it on full resolution. But let's take the grid and go from corner point to width slider. Let's take the size or the width of the grid and go to 85. Let's take the border of the grid and cut it almost in half from 5 to 2.75. Let's take the not the opacity of the grid. I'm sorry, yes, take the opacity of the grid layer here to 65%. Not the opacity of the grid layer, the opacity of the grid. Now, opposite of that, let's not take the blending mode of the grid to screen. Let's take the blending mode of the layer to screen. So I'm going to click my second button down here, and I'm going to take the blending mode of the layer to screen. Okay, so make sure you do that. Please make sure you do that. Now, let's go again. You see how the grid looks like it's some lines are lighter, some lines are darker? It's not really. It's actually very, very nicely done. It's perfect and it's fine. So I know I'm paranoid. Command S to save the file. We'll click back to the project window and go ahead. Now it wants me to bring in the light cycle. So let's go to the stills and go right to the light cycle. I grab the light cycle and I just drop it down to the top of the file. Now, normally I would tell you to use the pan behind tool to take the anchor point and reposition it up on the back of the cycle, but don't do that. Let's use the long way here, and I want to actually hit A for anchor point, and I want to use the Y coordinate, and I want to move the light cycle down to the grid. You follow what I'm saying? So normally this is not the fast, most efficient way to do it, but let's just leave it just like that and hit Command S to save the file. Now we're going to take rotation of the light cycle, and we're going to rotate the light cycle to, make sure I find it, we're going to rotate it to minus 90 degrees so it's pointing from left to right. Now, let's move this, hit P for position on the light cycle, and let's move this off the screen. Let me go back just a little bit. Hold the V key and hold the Shift key and move it directly off the screen so you can't see it, and hit the stopwatch for position. Now, you see those items at the bottom of the page? We're going to go from 1 to 2 all the way to 7 and try to do it quite efficiently, okay? So I've already got it there. Let's go Option Shift J and go to the next one, which is 1, 0, 0. It says to make it and move 4 full squares to the right. So here is 1 full square, 2, 3, 4 full squares to the right, just like this. Sorry, right there. 4 full squares to the right. Make sure I have it right, and yes I do. Okay, let's go to 2. So I hit Option Shift J, 2, 0, 0, and without worrying about the bike being in the right order, meaning the bike's not going to face the way it's supposed to go, we'll do that in a minute, let's take the bike and move it 2 full squares down. Now at this point, the path looks like it is, I got to move the bike over slightly, and then I'll go move that point over slightly. Right now I want you to take the G key, which is the pen tool, and I want to click all the points with the Option key held down. So let's hit the G key, hold the Option key, and let's convert that to straight point. Let's convert that to a straight point and convert the first one to a straight point. Now let's go close on this one and put this one back. So if I hit the V key, the P key, I'm sorry, the G, P is for pen in other programs. The G key, let's grab just this one point and let's move just that one point right into the light cycle, right into the grid. Now let's hit Command S to save, and let's do the one at 3. 215. So let's go Option Shift J, 215, hit the return key, and it says move it 3 squares to the right. So I'll get close, so I'm good. Hit the V key and go 1, 2, 3 and make sure I'm right on that grid line, right on that grid. Let's get close and make sure I'm right on that grid line. Okay, now Command S to save. Let's go to 3, 3, 0, 0, and let's move it 2 squares up. So let's go now there, and let's go here and 2 squares up. Whoops. And I'm right where I should be. Command S to save. Let's go to 315. Make sure I did not forget one. I'm sure you guys are going to yell at me if I do. Okay, 315, and at 315 we move 2 squares to the right. So let's get close and make sure we go 1, 2, and make sure we're right on that grid line. Command S to save. Let's go to 4, and at 4 we're going to move 3 squares down. So let's go like this and move 3 squares down. That was 3 squares down. Yep, and let's make sure we're nice and close to that. And we are. Okay, good. Back out of it. Command S to save. Option Shift J. We are going to go to 5. And at 5 we go 3 squares to the right. And there it is. Let me get close and see if I'm right on it. Yes, I am right on it. Command S to save and Option Shift J. Let's go to 515. And at 515 we move 5 squares up. So let me move this down so I can get the whole thing on screen. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we get closer. And I'm right on the money there, okay. And now the last one is at 7. So let's go Option Shift J to 700. And let's get 10 squares or 3 squares. We're the second square from the edge, which is 10 squares. So let's go all the way over to the second square from the edge, which is 10 squares over. I'll do a silly mathematical finger count so I don't look stupid, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Command S to save the file. There's your motion path for the light bike, okay? Now, I'm going to RAM preview this so you can see that the motion path is not very consistent. And that's the cool part about After Effects. It doesn't care. Let me get this on screen. I'll go to Fit. Okay, now let me go down so we can see now. Let me hit Save and hit RAM. Now, watch how this is not very consistent. It goes fast, it goes slow, it goes fast, it goes slow. Well, that's not a very good motion path for the light cycle. When we come back, we are going to fix all that.